Welcome to another earnings call here on Learn Grow Invest. I'm Jermaine McDonald, CEO and coach at Learn Grow Invest Limited, and it's a pleasure to be hosting another one of these earnings calls with you. So today we'll be hearing from Future Energy Source Company Limited, otherwise known as FESCO. We'll go through their Q3 2022 earnings. So I'll be joined by Jeremy Barnes, the CEO of FESCO. Before we get started, let's open with a word of prayer. Thank you, Lord, for this day. Thank you for the ability to produce wealth. We pray, Lord, that this will be an insightful session, a meaningful session, and we pray your blessings over the proceedings in Jesus' name. Amen.
Hello, everybody. My name is Jeremy Barnes. I'm the CEO, Managing Director of Future Energy Source Company, commonly known as FESCO. I just want to welcome everybody here to our Q3 earnings conversation. We're proud of our numbers. We've always been proud of our numbers. We're especially proud of our numbers for Q3. And I just want to thank everybody for joining us. Right, so sharing with everybody what the agenda is. The first part of it is my opening remarks and the presentation of the financials. Again, we had a very positive Q3, both from an operation standpoint and from a profitability standpoint. We're able to achieve a lot of our objectives. We're able to grow our market share. We're able to grow the volume in liters we have sold. We've been able to churn out our best profitability numbers. And during the same time, we'll be able to do a lot of the operational stuff that we needed to do for the short term and for the medium term growth of the company, which is one, continue to make investments for our future business, which is FES Gas. And that's the name of our gas business that we're going to be launching later this year. In addition to that, we've been able to support or to expand our network of service stations by further making investments into those that line of business. And I'll discuss with you further the opportunities and the growth that will be achieved in adding new stations later in this presentation. So I think we're going to go forward now in presenting the financials. Right. So, we sent out this advertisement, and I'm just giving you some big picture of what our performance was for the quarter and year to date. Year to date, we have been able to generate $434 million in net profit. For the entire year last year, we did about 253. So we're ahead of last year, full year, in only 9 months. We're also ahead of our IPO prospectus projections for the financial year ending March 2023. We projected to make some 369 million, and we have so far made 434 million in just 9 months. For the quarter, our gross profits have also been substantially up versus last year. Year to date, we're about 162% in growth above that figure last year. Our net profit for the quarter, our best quarter so far, is 153 million. And our earnings per share year to date is over 17 cents per share. So our growth, you will see from the revenue that we have grown our revenue and our gross profit. At the same time, we're not reducing margins, we're actually growing the business in liters. So if you look at, if you index last year, as 100%, we have grown, 38% for the quarter alone versus December last year. And if you go to the full year or for the 9 months, I think we have grown, I think it's on the next slide, about 60% year to date versus last year. So what that means is that we've sold 60% more gas in the first 9 months of this year versus 9 months last year. And that's, I think, a tremendous achievement. We thank all our dealers and our employees for, enhancing the volumes of the company, and it has benefited bottom line by, we've added to our gross profit and our net profit substantially. So as highlighted earlier, so turnover so far for the first 9 months about $20 billion. Last year it was about $8 billion, so we've grown about $12 billion in revenue year over year for the first 9 months. Our gross profits for the 9 months about little shy of $650 million, $646 million compared to $246 million last year. Our operating profit is about $434 million, and our net profit so far year to date is $434 million. And this compares to $170.8 million last year for the first 9 months. And I said earlier, earnings per share year to date is just over 17 cents per share. Assets remain liquid. We are growing our business. We do generate a lot of cash flow within the business, our general business. But to expand in the LPG space and to do some of the plans that we want to do on the gas station side, takes a lot of capital. LPG takes a significant amount of capital. I think I've expressed this before, but for the LPG business, you have to the company has to own the storage of the LPG at our customers' homes or businesses. So it takes a lot of cylinders to enter that space. It takes a lot of capital to fill and to deliver the product to the various destinations, whether trucks, bobtails, trailers. So we've been acquiring those assets, and to acquire those assets, as you know, we've done 2 bond raises in last year, one for $1 billion and one for $700 million, which was done at the end of last year, December. So our cash as at December is about $452 million. Plant, property, and equipment, a big jump over last year. We're about $2.5 billion in plant, property, and equipment. And that, again, is a lot that explains, is explained by LPG assets for the most part. Plus, we do own our plant at Beechwood Avenue. Plus, we've been, as I said, acquiring assets in the LPG space to get ready for our launch later this year. Our long-term liabilities, 2 bonds, plus we have some a mortgage on our property. That totals about $1.9 billion in aggregate. Our equity, we're very proud that our equity is up strong, firmly above $1 billion. It's about $1.165 billion in aggregate, of which almost $1 billion is retained earnings. You do remember that we paid about $60 million last year in dividends. So the company is very proud that since its inception, which is about 10 years ago, and we're actually trading for about just over 9 years, we've been able to earn almost $1 billion in profits. Cash flow from operations is a bit skewed. I will tell you more about that. But we do generate a lot of cash from operations. Part of the summary of those numbers include there's a bond payable receipt. So in December, though we did get the bond signed off, about $400 million of that, the bond wasn't paid actually until January. So there's a bond receivable. And there was also some prepayments on the LPG side. So when you factor those into the cash flow from operating, we did generate about $560 million year to date in cash from the general operation of our service station business. We have made a lot of investments, as I said before, in the LPG space, and our cash and cash equivalents as at December was about $451 million. And as I said, there was a receivable amount for the bond of about 400 million, which was paid in the first week of January 2023. Right. So we did give some insight into our receivables and prepayments. Again, because if you just look at the receivable figure of 933 million, it looks pretty large. It's not all trade receivables. The trade receivable part of it is in two parts. It's about 370 million for non-connected parties. When you add this trade receivable plus the connected party trade receivables, you get the full trade receivables of the company. But this was impacted, as I said, by the NCD bond receivable, which is about net is about $366 million, and we made other prepayments into our LPG business of about $206 million. So our current ratio remains strong. We're about 1.64, and that's just basically current assets divided by current liabilities. So we're 64% greater with our current assets and our current liabilities. Operating expenses as a percentage of gross profits, we're very proud of this number. We've always operated very efficiently at FESCO. And we're not talking about just salaries here, we're talking about the entire business, including depreciation. All expenses, generally speaking, were under 40%. We've always been under 40%. There might be some distortions between quarters, but if you look on an annualized basis, we're always below 40% of our expenses, expense ratio relative to gross profit. And our debt to equity remains strong. I think our debt capacity is about 2.5 times, and we're well within that range at only 1.66. Company outlook. Again, I think we told everybody from inception, from it came public, that we intend to enter the LPG space. Plans along that line are coming. We're working on it. We're working very hard on it. Actually, within this quarter itself, which started January, we've started to onboard a lot of staff that will help us to execute that business. We've taken time to recruit well, and I think we recruited well. And so there will be, an adjustment in our expenses this quarter to reflect, our addition of human resources. So we've increased the depth and breadth of our management to deal with that business. Plus, there are a lot of operation stuff we're working on with regard to FESGAS to bring it on stream to the public. So we're, as you know, would be obviously acquiring additional assets this quarter in furtherance to that business. So we do plan to introduce FESGAS as early as possible, but I'll give you some guidance that the latest we'll do is by the end of Q2, September 23. But it could be before that, and might be and should be before that, but the latest would be about September 2023. In addition to that, as I said, we continuously and continually try to add to our dealership network. Insofar as this year is involved, we plan to add around 2 stations. They're currently under construction. And though we have aggressive timelines on it, I don't want to be too aggressive, but with a fair bit of certainty, they'll be on board before December 2023. That would bring our number of stations to about 20 for the island. And I'm really proud of that number, and proud that FESCO has been able to not just expand its network, it has been able to expand its network through the investment of dealers, and dealers see the brand, are attracted to the brand. And the truth is, I believe at this time, the FESCO brand has been able to, and we're very proud and thankful for our customers for that. We really appreciate the support and patronage of the business. So I think the FESCO brand itself has been gaining value and has been providing a customer experience for our customers that I believe at this time is superior to the experiences of other stations. And again, we really appreciate our customers for that. A lot of them tell us when we do slip up, and my text and my WhatsApp and my emails ping for those, but to be honest, it gets ping a lot more for, wow, Jeremy, I came here at 9 p.m. and the line is long. but it moves fast. And we're really happy to see the success of Fesco. At 2 p.m., 2 a.m. in the morning, Jeremy, I can't believe that I'm here at Fesco and there's still a line to get gas. So we're really, really grateful to all our customers for that. And one of the things that we're really happy for when they made the comments is that, Jeremy, the line sometimes is long, but it moves very fast because your setup is very efficient. You accept credit cards, etc. And we do have attendants that assist. So we're really proud of our attendants. We're proud of the training. We're proud of our staff, that are dedicated staff. And thank you to everybody.
Right. So before we actually move to Q&A, Jeremy, we had missed a slide earlier, so we're actually going to bring that up on screen for us to comment on it.
Sure. Again, so, recorded our best quarter ever, both operationally and in terms of profits. As I said before, we recorded $153 million in net profit. During December, I should have mentioned this. We did launch our premium product, which is Fesco Future 93. Everybody saw the ad in the beginning. We're very proud to bring this product to market before everybody else. On a wide scale. We're not the first in Jamaica to do 93, but we're the first in Jamaica to do 93 under the canopy. So whereas you had to get buckets to pour it into your vehicle, which is pretty unsafe practice, or you had to be out in the sun, not under a canopy to get 93, now you're able to just drive up at a pump and get 93, a premium fuel for premium cars. Again, a lot of people have been coming to the stations, buying 93 and wondering if they still need to put these octane boosters or additives into their cars. I know a lot of Porsche customers and BMW, Mark X's, a lot of them are asking that question. And no, they don't. If you look at the gas tank and it says 98 RON, that's what 93 is. It is a 98 RON. So it's a premium product being sold at a very competitive price. In fact, at most of our stations, our 93 product is comparable to the price of ULSD. As you're aware, when people had to buy it, not under a convenient circumstance, they were paying in excess of about $350 per liter. When you come to a Fesco station, typically you can get a 93 at $100 less. We're really proud of that. We're proud of our partners for bringing that product to market. We're proud of our stations, and we're proud of our directors and the whole management of the company that was forward thinking enough that this was a plan for 3 years. Took a long time, a lot of effort, and we're really proud of the product, and we feel really good about it when people call again and say they're really, really grateful that they don't have to spend $5,000 every time they full up on an octane booster just to protect their car and to get the premium performance. So we're really, really proud of that product. Again, we opened a station during that quarter in November. Fesco Ocho Rios, wonderful family. It's a dealer-owned station. It's a wonderful station. It has been getting rave reviews. They do sell 93. Their volumes are very good. If you're in that area of Ocho Rios or planning to go to St. Mary, that side, I really think you should stop at that station and experience the customer service there. The convenience store is exciting, wonderful. It's a great station and a great family. Part of our corporate social responsibility, as a company, we don't necessarily, on a personal note, I personally don't like to talk about stuff that we do on that side of the business, but I do understand and appreciate that the company is different, a separate entity from myself. So we in talking about the charity stuff that we have done, over the years, we have donated various items and stuff, but for the quarter, we donated a laptop to a needy student. We donated tables and chairs to the Boys Town Center. That's downtown Denham Town. I was heartened because I was there for the actual delivery. Actually, I made a delivery of those chairs and tables. There's quite a few chairs and tables, and we're really proud of that donation that we did. We donated to various churches when they have events, and in addition to that, we donated at as one of our project planning manager introduced us to the Strathmore Children's Home, and over the years we have donated electrical items to them. This Christmas we donated a fridge, and the peripherals for it. And we try to do our civic duty and sharing with you some of the stuff, some of the projects we did in December, and the strategic initiatives. Yes, we did a bond or a fundraise or a bond raise in December, which we did raise additional $700 million, which does go towards our LPG ambitions.
All right, great. So I believe we are ready to move on to Q&A. Thank you so much, Jeremy. I believe we've gotten a lot of clarity in terms of what we would have seen from the Q3 financials. So the questions will be coming up, and I'll just take them as we go. So KB is asking, why did FESCO decide on dividends versus retaining those funds for expansion? I mean, it's nice and I appreciate it, but why?
Excellent question. And it will come up. You're directing us in a direction which the board has started to consider, because interest rates have been trending up for the last 9 months. So whereas last year, this time you could raise funds at 7 or a little bit below 7, and up to March last year, about 7.5% we were able to raise debt at. If you're raising debt at any point in time, it's above 12. So that decision to actually, it's cheaper now to retain the earnings to finance the business. So those decisions will be tabled at the appropriate time to determine whether it's more cost efficient for us to retain earnings to finance our expansion. Excellent question.
Next question from our community: will the rollout of FESCAS be focused primarily on residential customers or commercial?
Okay, so the residential market is bigger than the commercial market, but we'll be doing both. We do see value in both areas of the market, but I think in the background, I think there's a FESCAS cylinder, if you look closely. So we will be in both spaces, and we'll be in both spaces.
Okay. Next question: are there any market share targets and timelines?
Internally, yes. It's not something we'll definitely share. It's one of those things where we will share information a bit retroactively, or looking back. Like I guess in what happens CIA documents in the US, where they're releasing documents as to what happened with JFK. But we're not that bad. But we'll be sharing market data and how our market share on a delayed basis, and I don't believe we'll be sharing anything earlier than 12 months in the past. Why? Because I do know part of our stakeholder group might be competitors.
Okay, so that means that for maybe the next annual report coming out for 2022, we'll be able to see market share data similar to what we got for the IPO prospectus?
Correct, but I won't be sharing, let's say this quarter, what we did last quarter. It's too recent. It's too much information to share with our competitors at this time, because we don't have their numbers. So they're at a competitive advantage by knowing what our numbers are. Yeah.
Okay. Outside of pricing, why will customers trade in the cylinder or tanks they currently have for FESCAS?
Excellent question. I don't want to give away too much of what we plan to do. We will be giving out passing out information, over the next few weeks and months as to what, the value proposition of FESCAS is. But suffice it to say, in a market where, put it this way, I don't believe you'd run out of petrol anywhere in Jamaica, yet we're adding stations. So I do believe that FESCO has positioned itself and has been able to create value for customers, whereas even though our market does have participants that can handle the market, we do believe that FESCO's value proposition makes our product attractive. And we'll take that same learning or knowledge that we have from the petrol space and bring it to the LPG space. In a nutshell, what I can say is that we'll be adding processes and technologies that would make our product increase the value for the customer. We'll be introducing technology both on the operating side and the fulfillment side that will add value to the customer. And yes, price is always a factor, and at the appropriate time, we'll share more.
Okay. What are your plans for future cocoa gas stations, quantity, and timelines?
Excellent question. Yes, we do. Are always on the lookout to add company-owned, company-operated stations. We do not share data on that until construction has started. We have not yet started construction, but once we do start construction, we will share information. But the construction process in Jamaica is, as you know, takes some time. From the planning, approvals from the various government bodies. So we do not interfere by making public broadcasts about what we're doing until all of those I's have been dotted and T's have been crossed. So we will share that information when it's timely. But yes, we're always on the lookout for additional company-owned, company-operated stations.
So are you saying there's something currently in the works, but you can't share information until it's gone to a certain point?
Absolutely. We're always looking for land, and we're always in that process. But until that information it reached the level to be shared, we don't share.
Okay, understood. Does FESCO have any plans to diversify into clean energy solutions in the future? After all, the name is Future Energy Source.
Excellent question. So, and how much time we have?
We have all the time in the world.
All right, LPG is considered a clean energy. So going into LPG is part of being, part of clean energy. Yes, the name FESCO is future energy, so we're always thinking of opportunities on the other side of other types of energies out there. So obviously, depending on where you are, you can either go up market or down market with energy, really meaning kind of get closer to the source or get closer to the customer. Yes, we do have intentions to diversify our offerings, but as we know, at this point in time, refinery and gasoline and diesel will be with us for a while. It's not just because there's not a substitute, but the truth is refining oil produces petrochemicals, and petrochemicals is almost as big a side as transportation fuels. So all your plastics, if it's simple as it, take it, petroleum jelly, Vaseline, it comes from the refining process. So refineries will still be there. Oil will be necessary, for many, many more years going into the future, and we will still be in the petroleum distribution business. But the question that you're asking is, are we thinking of actively how do we diversify our energy mix? Yes, we are. Where we come into the market at depends whether we want to get closer to the source. So if you want to talk about wind farms, etc., or you want to get closer to the customer. We're considering those things at this point in time, but at this point in time, the ROI on those businesses aren't where we would invest right now.
Okay.
So, we'll take some time in developing that business.
Okay, thank you. Have you secured any contracts for FESGAS?
That sounds like a competitor.
It's actually from a community member. So, well, I don't think she's a competitor.
All right, we haven't sold 1 liter of LPG yet. And at this point in time, or I don't think at any point in time, we'll ever share our customer list. So,
well, I was just more concerned with the fact that to see if you've been able to at least secure those partnerships, or things have started in terms of trying to distribute or sell product.
What I would say is anybody out there that wants to be a customer, they can contact us, and at the time when we enter the market, we'll definitely speak with you and love to convert it to FESGAS. But at this point in time, I wouldn't comment any further.
Okay. All right. Have you finished gathering materials necessary for breaking ground for your first filling station? What's the
Yes.
maximum number of tanks you plan to be able to fill in a day or fill in a day? Yeah. Very detailed question.
Yeah, man, this person works in the industry. What I can say at this time, yes, we have acquired the necessary assets for filling stations. Um, I will not comment on the maximum number of
Ballpark,
singles.
maybe.
I won't comment on that at this point in time.
Okay.
What's the potential projected revenue expected
Yes.
from Fest Gas? Again, that's a bit early to discuss those numbers. There were initial estimates during our IPO prospectus. Obviously, we're ahead of where we thought we would have been in the business, based on our prospectus 2 years ago. And again, this is all due to what the customers have done. The customers have really supported the brand for the 2 years that we've been listed. We're proud and thankful of that. Again, what I would say for Fest Gas is it's a bit too early. Maybe at our AGM later this year, we'll share some, greater insight into that side of the business. But at this point in time, it's a bit early to share projected revenue.
Okay, thank you. Question from Shelley and Parkinson. Is there any Fesco gas station outside of Kingston and St. Catherine? Also, how will Fesco target the rural areas where people have no gas stove?
It's an excellent question. There are many Fesco gas stations outside of Kingston and St. Catherine. In fact, most of our stations are rural. We do have a station in Negril, Montego Bay, Ocho Rios, Duncan's, Trelawney, Golden Grove, St. Anne, Lacovia, Top Hill, Mandeville, of course, Westmoreland. We have stations across the length and breadth of Jamaica. The two stations that are currently under construction is actually outside of Kingston and Kingston, St. Andrew, and St. Catherine. So those again are two rural stations. The second part of the question was what? How will FESCO target rural areas where
Where
people
people
don't
have no
have
gas
gas?
stove.
Excellent question. Over the years, there has been a campaign or has been campaigns that target or sensitize people towards using gas rather than coal as a source of fuel for their stoves. What we find is that campaign has been largely successful. We do plan to piggyback on that campaign, but we do believe at this point in time the market outside of Kingston, St. Andrew, and St. Catherine is pretty significant for cooking gas. So I believe that the market is sufficient for us to, on a rural basis, to offer LPG, and that there will be a significant conversion to Fest gas.
Okay. Are there any plans to acquire smaller companies?
And we're always on the lookout to acquire assets that fit our profile. So if you're out there and you want to be acquired, I would, my email and my phone, you can contact us, but we would not be speaking on transactions outside of, disclosures.
Okay. Philip Burgess is asking, maybe you can raise without debt. Is that related to something specific?
I guess probably he's saying, would we want to come back to the market to raise equity? Either from probably a rights issue or an APO. Well, currently there's a ceiling on the junior market, which is 500 million. We raised 400 million at IPO. I know the stock exchange has intentions to raise that ceiling to 750. Yes. Right. So if and when that happens, it is an opportunity that we would consider. But at this point in time, it hasn't been considered at the board as yet.
Okay.
Yeah.
Next, any other? Shantana is asking, how much do you think the volatility of oil prices internationally will impact the bottom line for FESCO?
Excellent question. We're on the distribution side of fuel. So as you can see, if you look at BP, if you look at Shell, Royal Dutch Shell, Total, internationally, they have made, as some would call it, supernormal profits because oil prices were trending up for the last 12 months from the incursion of Ukraine. On our side of the business, we basically distribute a finished product. It is less sensitive to the volatility in oil prices. So marginally, it affects our business, but not materially.
All right, so since you mentioned diversification, any plans to expand beyond Jamaica, FESCO, Guyana, a possibility?
It's something that we have discussed internally. There are opportunities. There are a lot of opportunities in this space, to be honest. There are opportunities, a lot of opportunities in Jamaica and a lot of opportunities regionally. At this point in time, the board and the company is focused on executing our existing business, our LPG business. But again, we look at all opportunities that come to us. If the right opportunity comes, we will consider it. But at this point in time, there are no immediate plans to expand outside of Jamaica.
Philip is asking, how is your relationship with Wigton?
We have no relationship with Wigton. Wigton, I think, produces wind for the grid. And I think, the grid is their primary customer. So we directly have no connection with Wigton.
Okay. Krishna is asking, does FESCO have plans for deploying charging stations for electric vehicles?
Excellent question. At this point in time, it's the electric charging vehicles is not necessarily a business at this point in time. I don't believe you can even directly charge for electricity for vehicles. You have to find another way to charge for it, because there's only one entity in Jamaica that is legally allowed to charge for electricity. Again, at this point in time, it's not a business that generates a ROI. And because we're a growing business and we need to deploy our capital in the most efficient and effective way, at this point in time, we do have projects and expansion plans that do not necessarily involve electric vehicles or charging at this point in time. Just from a profitability standpoint, if you have $1,000 to invest and one will only start paying back returns 5 years hence, and one pays back returns 2 weeks hence, it's best you fortify yourself and invest in the ones that pay back monies in a shorter time and allows you at a later time to invest in that other project. I think that's the way, in a simple way to explain what we're doing now. We're utilizing the low-hanging fruits and gaining, building our capital base so that when bigger opportunities or long-term opportunities do come up, we do have sufficient capital to enter and be profitable in that space. But at this point in time, and this point in time means throughout this year and maybe next year, we do not perceive that electricity or charging electric vehicles will be a profitable venture for any company.
Okay. So like you just shared an investment strategy there, Jeremy. So I hope persons caught that. So Shellyan is asking, has FESCO considered partnering with courts and other sellers of stove to supply FESGAS, or perhaps FESGAS can offer stoves as a part of their marketing, FESGAS in rural areas?
Excellent idea, Shelly. But I think you should call us when you're sharing these ideas so that other people don't benefit from your insight. So yes, we have considered those, and we'll consider, all marketing initiatives to enter that space.
Okay. All right, I believe that was the last question. Thank you so much, everyone, for sharing your questions. So, Jeremy, I'll hand over back to you to close out any final words to investors, potential investors, just general, closing remarks.
Okay. Again, what you can look forward to for FESCO for the remainder of this calendar year 2023, we'll be going into the cooking gas market through a product called FESGas, which is scheduled to launch anywhere between April and September 2023. And we believe that we'll bring into market a product that people can be proud of. You're a FESCO shareholder or stakeholder, you will be proud of FESGas and want to become customers of FESGas because it benefits you in multiple ways. You're getting a great product, a convenient product, and you'll be able to, as you do with the gas, you earn by spending at FESCO, you actually helping yourself and the company earn more money. In addition to that, we're really proud of, and the Future 93 product. If you haven't tried it, if you have a gas vehicle, please, if you have a diesel vehicle, it's not for you. But if you do have a gas vehicle, we do encourage you to try our 93 product, an excellent product. As I said, from BMWs to Mercedes-Benz, Range Rovers, Toyota Mark X's, Subarus. Oh my, the Subaru community, loves this fuel. Try that fuel. On the earnings side and the business side of the business, what you have to look forward to, as I said, during this quarter, we have undertaken to increase our staff complement on a managerial level. So there will be some increase in our expenses for this quarter. But going forward, we're just preparing ourselves to be able to roll out that LPG business, to have a smooth rollout. So, bear with us on the expense side for this quarter because, we have to build that team, train that team, and get that team ready. And finally, just want to thank everybody for, taking the time out to join us at this earnings call. Really do appreciate the questions and the quality of the questions that were asked. I wish I could share more, but, some of the discussion was a high level that we only can do internally with management. Can't overshare, but I really do appreciate the questions and the time that you took the time out to share with us. And please patronize our FESCO station.
All right. Thank you so much, Jeremy. It was our pleasure hosting you. Thank you for everyone who joined. Thank you to everyone who will watch the replay. If there are any additional questions, feel free to post them in the comments under the video. The link for this video will be on the FESCO homepage under their investor relations section, so you can catch the replay there as well. So thank you to everyone, and we will see you for the next earnings call.
Thank you.